Hi, Sandi Maki here with a little bit of heavy breathing just before midnight. Funny thing is going on. I was having a great day today, and I don't know if you ever take the time to acknowledge it. I sure try to, because some days I'll be driving into the office, and the day and my mood is just up, and everything is positive and glowing, and I'm just in a good mood, and there's no real accounting for that. I don't know what the influence is. It's just a good day. And then some days I can be on the way to the office, and if it's a day in Michigan where it's still dark pretty late in the day and it gets dark early, or maybe it's gray or snowing or something like that, sometimes due to no outside influence on the inside, I just won't be quite as happy or quite as positive. It'll feel like I'm working at it for things to happen. So on the days like this morning, when I was just naturally upbeat and happy, I really just tried to acknowledge it and do a little bit of thinking to see what was influencing that. Was there something that I could put my finger on that made this a happy day and other days a not so happy day? And there's really no difference. There's a lot of people that talk about moods and mood swings. And we know that different personality types, if we did the personality study with the 4 quadrants, we know that each personality type has its own way of dealing with moods, and some go up and down, happy, sad, pretty quickly. Others are long and drawn out, and there's not really any accounting for the what. Sometimes it's just a matter of a state of being. I know when people talk about happiness, they say, well, happiness is a choice. You just choose to be happy, and then you will be happy. Sometimes that's just not the case. Like this morning, I hadn't decided to be happy, and I hadn't decided to be unhappy, but I was at a naturally heightened state of happiness. How did it happen? I don't know. I couldn't really account for it. Yesterday, I don't exactly remember my mood, but I don't think it was as happy naturally as I was today. But I hadn't chosen to be happy yesterday or to be sad. Depending on where somebody is in their happiness cycle, let's call it, yes, you can make a conscious decision and an effort to try to be happy. But there's also a natural state of being that has a lot to do with how you feel. That's what I believe. And I think some days, when you tell yourself, okay, let's just go be happy, your next thought in your mind is, you're just full of shit. And that's the way it happens. I know it does. That's what happens to me. If you have a trick and a surefire way to work around it, I would love to hear about it. In the meantime, though, I think we can acknowledge when we're really happy, and we can take a look when maybe we're not so happy. And I don't think that in that case we need to force ourselves into a different state of being, because that's exactly what it's called. It's called a state of being. So be in the state of being whatever you feel, whether it's happy, sad, mad, glad, angry, excited, euphoric. We get to experience this whole range of emotion. And sure, happy is a desirable state of being. Joy is a desirable state of being. Feeling angry or sad or melancholy, maybe we don't necessarily seek to feel those things, but we're human, so we have the ability to feel those things. So if you notice that, or if you notice that you're having a lot more days that don't feel happy, maybe it's time to change up a routine or make something different happen. I think it's also okay just to flow with those. Like today, a totally euphoric morning, and then the middle of the day, maybe I wasn't quite as happy, and I got home and things were happening, and, the state of being comes and goes. I don't think that we could be stuck at a happy high all the time, and I don't think that we should be stuck at a melancholy low all the time. I think that a natural progression of happier moments compared with non-happier moments are perfectly okay. So the next time that somebody says, happiness is a choice, I agree with you. Sometimes there's more to it. Can I put my finger on exactly what that is? Not quite, but it's all okay. Something else interesting happened this afternoon. I came across an article on Facebook, which I ended up resharing. And the article was basically acknowledging that a teen who talks back may be developing a bright future, because if a parent and a teenager are having an argument or a disagreement or something like that, it's actually a good skill to acquire, to know how to handle yourself as a teenager growing up when you get into situations that you'd like to take a stand on. The article cited that this can be extremely difficult for parents. What I find interesting is that my particular parenting style with my two kids is mostly of discussion, and there's not a lot that's set rigidly with rules. Most of the things that come up, whether it's grades or school or money or chores, we discuss. And I use different types of motivation to influence behavior. I know parenting books can say, if a parent likes to see order and things neat and tidy, and your child's bedroom rarely reflects this, some parents could harp on their children day after day after day. You have to clean your room. You have to clean your room. When some of the parenting books say, if this is the case, close the door. It may bother you that the room is messy on the inside, but you can eliminate a source of disagreement or conflict by simply ignoring it and letting it go. In my particular case, some of the ways that I motivate my children is I wait until they want something. So if their room is an absolute disaster and I cannot see the carpeting on the floor, sometimes I really have to grin and bear it, walk past it, close the door, use whatever coping mechanism I can until they ask for something. Can I get a ride? Can I go to the football game? And at that point, absolutely. What can you do for me? Looks like your room could use a spruce up. In that case, instead of it being a conflict and them dragging their feet and really kind of digging in their heels, it became a choice because they want me to do them a favor. So then they get to do me a favor. It works well in a whole lot of cases. I know my daughter has commented to me in the past that her friends, when grades come out, whatever their grades are, it's really irrelevant to me. I'd like them to have good grades so that they feel good about themselves and about what they've done. But we don't count our self-worth, our value, or anything on the grades. And when my daughter reported, she talked to me about this, her friends can't believe that it's not a big deal, whatever the grades are, or whatever the issue is. Some parents are really rigid about certain things, and in our dynamic, we talk about things, and there's not any one thing that I have to dig my heels in on that's going to cause that conflict. I think a lot of the teenage growing up years are about the communication gap that seems to erupt between parents and children. I've been a kid with parents. I know what it's like. And in the case of dealing with my kids, I'm really making a conscious effort to talk through things, see both sides, offer advice, and my standard answer in a lot of cases, which my daughter will also tell her friends, they'll say, what's your mom going to say? And she'll usually say, my mom is probably going to ask me what I think I should do, or what I think a good choice would be, instead of laying down the law, so to speak. We had this discussion when we were in driver's training, because at the end of the driver's training book, there's a parent-child contract. And the parent-child contract has all these fill-in-the-blanks to outline the rules about driving and what are the consequences for unsafe driving, and what happens if you do this, and what happens if you do that. And my daughter really wanted me to go through this book with her and fill in all the blanks. And I said, well, just fill in what you think would be appropriate in each of these cases, and I'll look at it, and if I agree, then that'll be what it is, and if I don't, we'll talk about it, and maybe we'll change them. And she said, but you need to tell me what the rules are. And I said, well, the rules are that you are a safe and conscientious driver. And she said, well, what if I get in an accident? And I said, there are so many contingencies for that. If you were fooling around and doing things that you weren't supposed to, that's one case. If you were absolutely doing your best and an accident happened, that's something else. If there's other circumstances that I'm not even thinking of now, each situation will be evaluated like it comes. When rules are made too rigid, I think that it's intimidating and people don't know what to do and they're terrified of what could happen, which leads to not telling the truth and doing things like this. In the case of my kids, as long as they tell me the truth and we can talk it out, there is nothing that is going to be that traumatic or that bad. We're all human. We all make good choices and bad choices. And sometimes we don't realize it's a bad choice until it's happening. And I can't hold children to a standard beyond something that I could hold myself to. I don't always make the perfect choices. Or maybe I make good choices for me that wouldn't be perfect in someone else's eyes, which is great. And yet not great, depending on the perspective. My kids, they in general make absolutely fantastic, wonderful amazing choices. They're empowered to do so. And sometimes, maybe they don't make such good choices. But they're their choices. I'm here to help, I'm here to communicate, and I'm here to talk it through. But there's not a lot of chaos in what happens. The article says that most arguments between parents and children were over grades, chores, money, and friends. Those are not topics that I'm going to get into it at all. Grades? You do what you can do, you do your best. If there's an issue, let's chat about it. Personal accountability, personal responsibility. But if you get a good grade or a bad grade, I'm not going to get over upset about it. Chores. A big source of chore discomfort is when they're given out to kids and there's resistance and then it becomes into a battle of wills to see who can win. What if, just like the way that we motivate adults or employees or co-workers, what if we use that with kids? And what if we approach it with, here's what we must do now, and help everybody understand that. And then some of those things that may not be quite as timely or significant, like a bedroom that where you can close the door, make life choices with those. Overnight, that one's going to come up quite so much. And friends. This is a great way to empower kids. If they're making good choices with good friends, or if they're making not so great choices with friends, it's probably a source of the environment or a source of something that we're seeking. In a lot of cases where there's kids that are in trouble, if you take a look, parents, at parenting skills, sometimes it's pretty obvious where things come from. In other cases, it might not be so clear. There's no one size fits all, and there's not one answer, and there's not one book where all these answers come from. It's give and take. It's looking at all sides. It's communicating. It's setting a good example. And it's knowing how to take the approach and how to influence each child. With personality studies, which I believe should be taught as early as elementary school, I think that people can develop more skills to understand each other. Just like adults with the 4 quadrants, children fit into those just as much. And if we don't understand how we each see the world and what our unique perspectives are, and we try to force a one-size-fits-all into everybody, that just hurts. I know as an adult, if somebody does that to me, it makes me feel like digging in my heels, taking a stand and making a point. But what if we didn't have to do that? And we have an amazing opportunity to do that with kids. I was also reading from the lost writings of Napoleon Hill. I was reading this, and he was talking about if we want something to be set into our way of being, or to a person's way of being, if we influence it getting there by the time that they're age 10, it is going to be so difficult to overcome that it will take an extreme influence to counteract what has been, we could call it programmed, conditioned, assimilated, whatever the word is there. If it's assimilated into someone by the time they're 10, they spend their entire adult life trying to maybe get past it if it's something that doesn't quite fit. We often hear about this by way of those negative traits that come up. We don't pay nearly as much attention to those positive things that can happen and those positive things that can be imprinted and assimilated. And I really know in my heart that this is something that I've done well. I've done some things better than others. I know that. I know I'm not perfect. I know my kids aren't perfect. I do know that somehow, even without the technical skills or training, I was able to do this with my kids. So from the beginning, we've had a great relationship, a great give and take, and I do believe that by the age of 10, they had assimilated some really good, important life skills that will help carry us through the teen years, which so many people express in non-positive ways. I just can't believe it. My teenagers, little teenagers, are fabulous. I enjoy spending time with them. I enjoy seeing the people that they're becoming. And I love the relationship that we have. And I didn't walk out and get good kids. Every one of us has the opportunity to have walked out and have gotten great kids. I got great kids and also took a nice attitude with them to make it all possible. Every child has the potential to be a great child. Every parent has the potential to be a great parent. It's up to us as children and as parents to make conscious choices about how we're going to make that all work. Parenting and even interpersonal relationships, those things that I'm so passionate about. I could talk on this for hours. And I've got my opinions. And I certainly think that I have a relationship with my kids that their friends look at and are a bit surprised by, or a bit amazed by. And when my kids can say, yeah, my friends are just amazed that I can talk to you about this, and you're not going to get mad or upset, and that you're going to empower me to make my own choices. Even before I turn 18, when my parents think, oh, when you're 18, you can make your own choices, like some light switch flips, and all of a sudden you have all the skills in the world. That's not what happens. It's incremental bit by bit. And with the relationship and the conversation I have with my kids, that it's working out in a really good way. There is one place that we had a bit of a difference of opinion. I did this post on Facebook and I shared the story. And then I told my kids, I did put on there, if you see that I have a different opinion than what you think, I put a comment on Facebook that since we're friends, I'm sure that you'll comment. And I said you could go there and comment if you'd like, or even better yet, let me get you on heavy breathing and we can have a discussion about it. To which they said, no, we're not going to do that right now. Which is fine. I learned it when there's something that I'm looking to do. I can always suggest that yes, in exchange for whatever awesome, amazing, large request is that you have, we're going to sit down and perhaps we'll do 5 minutes of a conversation that I can share on heavy breathing. It's not something that I have to have now. It is definitely something that I'd like in the future. I'd like for you to get to meet them a little bit more and get to know the awesome people they are. But in the meantime, we'll have a conversation about it. We'll respect each other's comfort zones. And we'll all be empowered to make really good, harmonious, balanced choices. Make it a great, harmonious, balanced day wherever you are. And continue to make the most conscious effort, even when it doesn't feel as natural or as good as it could. Continue to make that effort. it really, really does make a difference. I believe it.